Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden, and this cold-looking guy right here, ready for spring, this is Tim, and this is The Second Legacy, and thank you for stopping by. Today, guys, I told Tim before the episode started, I have been waiting and relishing for this moment because the stuff that we're about to cover, it all came together in this cosmos of delicious greatness. We are going to talk about the Washington Post fact-checking gun controllers around the whole claim of firearms kill more children than anything else in motor vehicles. That's one. Two, the LA Times called out Gavin Newsom and Rob Bonta for being racist in their court arguments for gun control. And then we have the epic epitome of the gun grabbers from New York. Guys, this is going to be one of those episodes you need to send out. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, like and share, and do all the great things to help the channel grow. And with that, Tim, I told you, I'm excited. You better be excited about that intro. How was that intro?
But I was thinking about why you're doing the intro is, you know what's amazing about what we do? We record most every single day during the week, right? And we are never short on content. These goofballs every single day don't just do something like political. They do stupid things that gives us all the content we need. It's just insane. But anyway.
Well, no, it's a very valid point. Very apropos, if you will. What I love about this personally, since we're hovering on the topic of what we do, we get to kind of blend the silly with the serious and kind of make a little bridge in between and have some entertaining times together while we do it. But let's dive into this, Tim. You don't even get to choose. You just get to buckle up and have some fun because I haven't even shown you this yet. Let's get it. Imagine my joy, Tim, when I saw this, number one, floating in the search columns when I looked for something. Imagine analysis. Is gun violence really the leading cause of death for children? Fact check. Can you imagine what was going through my head when I saw that? We all know it's
true. I mean, doesn't the Gun Violence Archive tell us every single day this is a fact? So what are you suggesting perhaps this isn't true?
Oh, I am. In fact, when I was looking at that, I know, call me the cynic. I've only screamed it on top of like literally every mountain I could possibly find on the internet. But yeah, it's not true. But I thought to myself, there's no way that this is about to happen when I click on this. I was like, it's got to be like, one of those things where like they say a lie is completely true, but it's fact check on the wrong date or something. It's got to be one of those
another Comey moment, right? Hillary broke this law, she broke this law, she broke this law. Oh, and she broke this law and probably this one too, but I'm not going to recommend any charges type of moment, right?
But as the chief law enforcement officer of the FBI, I think it's wise and prudent that we don't charge anybody for anything. Anyway, different thing, different topic. Let's get into this. I'm so excited, Tim. Check this out. Number two. Is gun violence really the leading cause of death for children? As you can see, the timestamp right there, February 7, 2024. This came out yesterday. For the record, and guys, I swear to you, I'm not making this up. It's linked. They actually did this. This is number three. They brought receipts. Gun violence is the leading cause of death for children. White House news release, January 25th. Gun violence is the leading cause of death for children of America. Leading cause of death, not car accidents, not some form of cancer.
Or abortion.
Gun violence. Vice President Harris remarks. Or abortion.
Yeah, okay.
Can't do that either. They never do. It's so weird. It's so odd. VP Harris said that remarks at the U.S. Conference of Mayors on January 18th. So it's well established that they have openly said from the lectern of the White House, press releases, and the VP's office that this is obviously a fact and true. So we need to have as much rhetoric around as possible, right?
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, well, number four, here we go, baby. Number four, the Biden White House in various venues has made that claim. But the source cited in the White House news release, the 2022 study, which we covered, by the way, by the Center for Gun Violence Solutions at Johns Hopkins University, reports data with a broader focus. It cites gun deaths of children and teens, meaning it includes deaths of 18 and 19-year-olds who are legally considered adults in most states.
I think we've said that like maybe 500,000 times conservatively. Yeah.
No, man.
And also keep in mind that these 18 and 19-year-olds that bump their numbers up, these are the gangbangers and the criminals and the carjackers and all the and yet they're saying these poor souls, these poor victims. No, they're victimizing other people and each other, right? But
right. Oh no. Oh, it gets even worse. Just wait. Oh, you're right. You're right, but it gets even worse. And they aren't even talking about suicides
of course not.
In this study. They don't even mention it. Yeah. No, they don't do that. So let's continue and just stop me when you're ready. All right, because this is so insane. When you focus, this is number 5, by the way, Doctor. When you focus only on children 17 and younger, motor vehicle deaths, broadly defined, still rank number 1, as they have for 6 decades.
It's the cars. Maybe we should sue all car manufacturers, all car retailers, and maybe we should just push these people out of business. This is ridiculous. We need to sue them into oblivion. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It is. No, you're right. No, you're right, Tim. And, I just did some thinking, quick math, for those in the back. Here comes the sarcasm meter. I'm pretty sure, Tim, that 6 decades still is 60 years, right? It still is 6 individual decades.
I guess it depends on who you ask.
60?
I mean, there are certain politicians that think we have 56 states and things like that, so they don't math very well, but I'm pretty sure, 10 times 6 would be 60. Yeah.
There was also a real peach that said the island of Guam was going to flip over.
Yeah, that was a peach.
Marines on it.
That was a good Democratic representative. One. Yeah, that was quizzing the.
that was Hank Johnson, I believe. He's so smart. It was so smart. But whatever. Yeah, I find this so fascinating because, Tim, if you look back 60 years ago, well, it's 2024 now, so that would mean 64. That circumvents and predates around 2 major gun control dates, doesn't it? 86 and 68. Just asking for a friend. Yeah, I'm sure there's no correlation. Just weird. But now are you ready for the numbers?
My favorite part, yes.
You ready for the actual numbers? Because this is the favorite part. This is number 6. By including, listen to this cooking of the books. Again, this is the Washington Post. By including 18 and 19-year-olds, excluding infants under age 1, and comparing firearm deaths with only vehicle crashes, Johns Hopkins reports that in 2021, there were 4,733 firearm deaths of children and teens, compared with 4,048 deaths of motor vehicle crashes. So after they cook the books in like 4 different ways, they achieve the firearm deaths.
Yeah, guess what people the age 16 and above can do? Drive cars. But anyway. Yeah.
Drive cars, vehicles, they can operate vehicles.
Yeah.
It's weird. Well, as contrast, this is what actually should be happening. First example was cooking the books. Here's the actual counting. But by counting only children 17 and under, including infants under the age of 1, and comparing all motor vehicle deaths, the CDC data shows that in 2021, there were 2,590 firearm deaths of children compared to 2687. So you know what? Not only did firearm deaths underperform motor vehicle deaths, did you notice something else?
Yeah, the actual
really
number is almost half of what the goofballs of Johns Hopkins were telling us. Gosh.
Oh,
I mean,
that's so odd. 50% would be 18 and 19-year-olds.
2,500 doesn't sound bad enough. 2,500, 330 million people in the country. Yeah, that doesn't sound like enough. Let's just go ahead and double that number. Does that sound good? Yeah, let's do that. Double that number.
That's How can we make this really effectual? How can we do a twofer? How can we get over motor vehicles and say it? And how can we really double this up? Well, if we include adults and then we remove under 1s and then we only say vehicle crashes, not all motor vehicle deaths.
Like, what if we include people like Biden that has the intellect of perhaps a 5-year-old? Can we throw them into the statistics too if they do something untoward?
That's true. That would be math. That'd be the same level of coercion of data and massaging of facts. Here's the thing that really bothers me, and we're delivering this in tongue in cheek because you can only really look at this so long before you lose your mind if you stayed serious the entire time, because it really is that asinine. But here's the thing, going to a serious point. This is the type of stuff that the people who are trying to convince you to give your rights to them, that are your rights in the Bill of Rights, under the Second Amendment, they are trying to convince you to do it based off of this data where they've increased it by 50% by including adults, removed certain motor vehicle accidents, and removed 1-year-old or younger. They massage these numbers, and the whole point is to convince you and manipulate you out of your rights. By using the
children through emotion, right? So if they said, well, gosh, this is the number of people that have died between the ages of 18 and 35, that's not nearly as impactful as saying, it's the children, all the children are dying. Bump those numbers up over there. Look, they're all dead. 50, 60 million, they're all gone. The entire generation, it's all a play to emotion. This is all they're trying to do. They're cooking the books, making up numbers, and then saying, and it's the children that are dying. It's just all to get that emotional response. So people go, oh gosh, yes. Oh, here they are. Oh my gosh, please, please, please ban everything, But meanwhile, cars are killing more kids than misused firearms, but we don't hear them out there calling about suing car manufacturers and retailers into oblivion and passing all sorts of wild restrictions on that. Heck no. Matter of fact, you can buy toy cars at Walmart. Nope. We'll get into that later.
Oh, yeah, we will. That's going to be a great G3 segment. The Goofy Gun Grabbers is going to be on point today. It's... And the crazy part is, man, the media is not going to cover this. It's not like I'm expecting them to. I'm just saying these gun-grabbing politicians from the White House and from the VP's office, they aren't going to be held to account for this. No one's going to say, hey, you tried to do this for so long using these points, but they were wrong.
Nope.
No one is going to do that, and that's why they continue to do it.
Nope, it'll never come up again. They'll never.
In all fairness,
they'll keep repeating the lie. I guarantee you, after you watch this episode, in the next few months, this lie is going to get repeated again and again. I guarantee it. Oh,
you think it will? Because usually they stop. They cut it off if they get caught.
Many of them won't even know this article exists yet. I guarantee you, on X and other places, you're still going to see people saying guns are the number one killer of children. Davey Hogg is probably still going to say it, and they'll just disregard this. They'll pretend like it didn't even exist until it gets thrown in their face so much that they have to accept it. But we'll see.
So what you're saying is Community Notes is just lurking there like a shark under the surface, just waiting.
We just got to get this article out there so people know it exists, so it can be in the Community Notes section. It can be thrown in their faces so we can shut them up and stop the lies, at least on this point. They'll just move on to another lie.
Absolutely,
but at least we can.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Tim, you know what? Washington Post, I think they did some work here. And this part right here is the wrapping point of the Pinocchio test. All right, listen to how they conclude this. Number 7, in the interest of accuracy, it would be better for White House officials to refer to children and teens when citing these reports. Yeah. When all motor vehicle accidents are counted, then motor vehicle deaths continue to exceed firearm deaths for children defined as people under age 18, whether or not infants include. You stop giving them cover. You just spent an entire piece saying they lied, nanny boo boo, we caught you, and now you want to go, well, in the interest of accuracy, they should probably amend their verbiage.
Right?
Stop it.
It kind of reminds me of when the Supreme Court was, hearing the Obamacare arguments, and there's like, well,
oh my God,
right now this is illegal, but if it were a tax, then there's not much we could say about it. And they're like, oh, thank you, Supreme Court. They went back and made it a tax, and then like, okay, everything's cool.
Oh, 100%, dude. That was my first foray. That's not the right word. Foray. My first foray into the political spectrum and observing what was actually happening and how they make the sausage. Because I was younger then, right? So that was my first thing. And I remember distinctly Harry Reid passing that budget under the reconciliation, which was a budgetary process, which they got the entire Medicare healthcare system into, right? And then they said, well, it's part of the budget. It's not part of a tax in order to get it through reconciliation. Then they passed it. And then when they're sued in court, all of a sudden they argued it was a tax, even though it circumvents the entire argument of when they got it into reconciliation. But that was my first moment where I was like,
they had to make it a tax to get it through because that's, Congress has the power to levy taxes. And so you can't do this. You can't take over the entire healthcare market, that entire industry, government. But if you tax it, you can take it over. Yeah.
But it's a tax. You're fine. It's a tax. Who doesn't love taxes? Congress can tax. I love taxes. Who doesn't love taxes?
Yeah. I wish more Americans remembered all this stuff. It seems like we get bombarded with it, and it just goes in one ear and out the other, and we just kind of go on about our lives. But if you could constantly remind Americans of all this nonsense that goes on and remind them of it every single day, they'd finally get fed up and we'd actually do something about it. But unfortunately, the average voter has the attention span of a gnat. So, well, anyway, have we ever tested the attention span of gnats? Anyway, I digress.
You're not wrong. I'm sure it exists. I think you're on the right track there. I don't know what animal it would be, but it certainly wouldn't be an elephant
or a dolphin.
I can tell you that.
Or even octopi.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah. Anyway,
or octopi. Dude, those things are smart. Okay, seriously, rumble strip beyond belief. All right. We're gonna move on to the next segment, Tim, because the rumble strip was about to get us, and it was about to get us bad, but we pulled it back. We got the wheel back on here because we've got to talk about racism.
No.
We do.
It's those Republicans being racist.
Worse, it comes where you least expect.
Oh
no, that's what I was about to say. It always comes where you don't see it coming. It always gets you. It always sneaks up on you. It turns out Gavin Newsom, who I'm pretty sure is a leftist sycophantic liar, with a lot of hair gel.
Greece is racist? No.
Yeah, Greece, hair gel. Yes. No. Greece isn't.
Oh, okay.
What he's done is, and through his attorney general. So it turns out it'll get you. This is number 8. This, again, is the LA Times. I don't know what happened on the internet yesterday, but a lot of leftist organizations were like, maybe if we did something to keep Braden alive. So here we go. If we must rely on history and tradition to assess gun laws, does racist history count? Oh,
spicy.
My God. And it says California. California dreaming. Mamas and the papas. Don't eat a ham sandwich. That's right. She died. It's unfortunate.
Don't tell me the old Gabster wants to bring
way.
back slavery because there's history and tradition there. It's a joke. It's a joke.
No. He does not want to do that.
It's a
terrible joke. It's a horrible joke. You are awful. I mean, like, here's the thing.
Okay.
He did not
At least he
say
didn't go that far.
However, comma. No, he didn't go that far. However, comma. The attorney general and all of their staff did lean on those same laws that applied to those same level of people in order to get gun control. And then they spend about, I don't know, the whole article trying to figure out how they do it, but they don't do it. And St. Bonitz comes in. Let's get it. From February 7th, 2024, people, as attorneys for the state of California prepared recently to defend in federal court a state law requiring background checks for ammunition purchases, they found themselves in an awkward position.
That never happens.
Okay, well, Tim, it never happens. What do you think that awkward position was? If you had to just stab in the dark with one of your zombie knives from the UK, what would it be? What do you think?
Federal court, I don't know. They're gonna claim that it's racist somehow. I don't know. What do we got here?
No. That is your usual expectations coming through. That's your bias. They went a completely different way. Here's number 10. Under a U.S. Supreme Court ruling from 2022, gun control measures are legitimate only if they are deeply rooted in American history and tradition or are sufficiently similar to some other centuries-old law, which we've covered numerous times. That's the Bruin decision. The state lawyers had conducted a deep dive through hundreds of years of American jurisprudence and identified dozens of historical laws that they felt bolstered the modern law's legitimacy by showing that the government has long limited access to firearms and ammunition.
Hold on.
Well, now, right there, Tim, that sounds so fruitly.
But
nice.
What's odd is, like, some of the earliest anti-gun laws in the United States were actually brought about to disarm freed slaves. They didn't want the freed slaves taking up arms against their former slave masters. And so that's where the earliest gun control comes from, is actual racism and trying to deny freed Americans their rights they desperately needed.
You know, it's interesting that you say that. It's interesting you say that, Tim, because as we peruse into number 11, there was a problem. Many of the historical laws they found were virulently racist, restricting access to weaponry for enslaved people, indigenous Americans, and other racial minorities. In the end, hold on for it, wait for it. In the end, the attorneys in California Attorney General Rob Bonta's office decided to push ahead and cite the laws, but with a major caveat.
It's okay, folks. We did it once before. Look, we didn't let the freed slaves have guns. We didn't want the American Indians having guns. We can do this.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, we're good, right? Now, I think it would be an important segment here to bring in some other history that we saw recently out of Texas. Now, this came in the Fifth Circuit, Tim, and tell me if you remember this. When we were talking about the tactical machining case around the ghost guns under Biden's ATF new rules that they just materialized out of nothing, they actually reference 16th and 17th century laws as history, text, and tradition, where they basically discriminated, exactly word for word, Protestants, Catholics, and indigenous peoples. And that was the reason of which they could do it. And that was the federal government, the ATF. So we also saw it in the exact same thing in the Rahimi case. All of these cases are bringing up and pointing to racism and disparities amongst racial groups for the rights of which they cannot or can have, depending on their skin color, by the federal and state governments, all of which are leftist organizations at this time.
And they're using this history and tradition to justify future
this up.
denial of rights to American citizens.
Correct.
And, yeah.
Correct.
But hey, this is the exact same party
every single person to see this.
Proposed and passed these laws 150 years ago. It's the same group. There was no great switching.
Correct.
Don't believe that lie of the party. These are the exact same people that enacted these racist laws back then, now using those racist laws to justify future racist laws.
Yeah.
Cool.
Isn't that weird? And
some
while we're
things never change.
Isn't it great? Isn't it? It's like history. It's like bell bottoms and mullets. They just come back. The thing that really just boggles my mind, man. This is where I've got some of the greatest stuff coming, and we haven't even gotten to it yet. But the stuff that boggles my mind about this is Abraham Lincoln was a Republican, abolishing slavery, Republican, KKK, Democrat, segregation, Democrat. Gun control against minorities, Democrat. And somehow, those dang conservatives, they just hate everybody not like them. What are you smoking? It is maddening. And all of that is historical reference. You can look it up if you are new.
This is the power of propaganda,
let's go.
Right? The loudest voice in the room that keeps repeating the lies, the loudest and most often is the one that gets heard and then ultimately believed. And that's the Democrats and the far left have capitalized on this forever.
That's true. Because it's true.
Thank you, Gavin.
Speaking of Satan. Yes, Satan. So if we go to number 12, listen, Tim, it's okay because they put a caveat.
Oh, yes,
you know that caveat,
caveat
we were talking about? That really important caveat? Yeah, here comes the caveat. This is number 12. Quote, the Attorney General in no way condones laws that target certain groups on the basis of race, gender, nationality, or other protected characteristics, they wrote in a footnote to their 2023 filing. But these laws are part of the history of the Second Amendment and may be relevant to determining the traditions that define its scope, even if they are inconsistent with other constitutional guarantees.
Talk about circular logic, man. That goes full circle.
Oh,
that's
my
dragon eating
God.
its own tail right there, folks. Wow. We're not really saying
it's literally like, well,
we're not really. Racism is bad. We understand these laws were racist, but I mean, come on, the laws were there. We put them there, so why can't we just bring them back?
We got
the history and tradition.
It's oh my God, man! Literally, if you had this falls under your butt law, by the way. The first half doesn't matter, but and then everything after is what they really think.
Rule.
100% the butt rule. The thing that bothers me so much about this is they literally talk out of both sides of their face in the same paragraph. Like they don't even let you ascertain through multiple paragraphs. It's the same stupid paragraph. We are completely against any type of laws that target certain groups and all protected characteristics, ethnicities, all this. But in trying to define the Second Amendment scope and really understand the history of it,
for those of you that aren't familiar
fine.
With the butt rule, the butt rule says that whenever somebody's talking, especially a politician, everything they say before the word but, you can disregard. It's a lie. So that entire first sentence, disregard it. But these laws, read it from there, and that's what they really think. So anyway. Hey, well, I got a question for you, Braden. So history and tradition, and we can include bad things. Maybe we can bring back burning witches at the stake. I mean, there's history and tradition there.
Ooh, you know what? It is not cool, but that is history and tradition.
And then if we don't like a particular female, we can put her in water and see if she floats or not. If she drowns, she's okay. She's acquitted. If she floats, she's a witch and we burn her. I mean, we have history and tradition there.
It's true. That's actually very true. It's a good point. She did turn me into a newt.
I got better though. Yeah. I got better.
I love that movie. I got better. What else floats? Small rocks, churches. Oh, sorry.
A duck. Yeah, I know.
I love that movie. A duck. Yes.
Monty Python, folks.
Monty Python, Quest for the Holy Grail. Yep. You guys are all welcome. So, again, I'm gonna set this up, Tim. Because remember Gavin Newsom, remember what he said about Roger T. Benitez, the honorable, the saint, Roger T. Benitez, the guy who has struck down AR bans, mag bans, and the ammo background checks in California. Okay. Said he was a terrible person. Said he was in the pocket of the NRA. He was insane. He was just out for random destruction. Well, turns out that when the state of California argued for racist backing for gun control, this is what he said. This is 13. Last week, U.S. District Judge Roger T. Benitez rebuked the state for relying on such racist laws in a decision that tossed out California's ammunition background check as unconstitutional. Benitez rejected the notion that they might represent a legal tradition to be considered under the High Court's Bruin decision. So the guy that Gavin Newsom said is so evil and so bad is saying, yeah, maybe you can't use racism to propagate more gun control.
Yeah. Such a bad guy.
What does that tell you? But honestly, what does that tell you? Who's castigating whom and who's saying what? We have it all right here on record in court documents.
I know.
I'm just saying. Well, here's what he said. This is number 14. This sounds like the rantings of a madman right here, Tim. Quote, Roger T. Benitez. These 50 laws identified by the Attorney General constitute a long, embarrassing, disgusting, insidious, reprehensible list of examples of government tyranny towards our own people, Benitez wrote. And such repugnant historical examples of prejudice and bigotry will not be used to justify the state's current infringement on the constitutional rights of citizens.
I bet you those lawyers in old Grease Master are kind of walking funny after that one. Woo! That had to hurt going in and coming out. That's wow. That is
perfect. It's perfect.
That's
exactly what just happened,
dude. I mean, that is not that's not beating around the bush in the slightest. He
correct.
That's a straight up face punch, folks. Wow.
Exactly. That's a throat punch. So that's the old dunk. But so, and here's my big thing, and this is what's so infuriating, and people of the Second Legacy, let me know in the comments on this one, because I think you guys feel the same way. These are the people who the media, the gun controllers, the leftists, they will stand on anything and everything in order to rally a certain demographic based on who the victim of the week is, by splitting into demographic buckets based on race, ethnicity, sexuality, whatever it is. They need a victim. Those same people were arguing against the rights for all, equal rights for every single individual. The guy they castigate says this is BS, you can't do this, and the media is silent on it. That one little snippet that I just read you, that should be on every news article, on newscast. If this were the other way around, I guarantee you that would be on every single media platform out there against the right. I guarantee it.
You know, Gavin and all of his little cronies got exposed for their extreme racism and trying to use racist past actions to impose new restrictions on Americans. Does this mean they're going to switch parties now?
Oh, yeah. Another great switch.
A switch in the works here? Are we going to have?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Go ahead.
I don't know, but sorry.
Inquiring minds want to know. I mean, do we got another switch on? Is there a switch coming down the road? Because I want to watch this one happen because I missed the last one.
I don't know. It's 2024. That's true. So this part right here should be the coup de grace, and this is all from the LA Times. I would like to reiterate. This is the last one, Tim. This is from Adam Winkler. Okay. Adam Winkler has a history of supporting gun control briefs in court. Quote, if we look at history and tradition, said Adam Winkler, a UCLA law professor who focuses on Second Amendment law, we see a whole bunch of racist gun laws.
Yeah. We've been saying that since forever.
Well, yeah. And listen to how this article ends. Again, this is the LA Times. I should send them flowers. Here it is. Liberal states such as California and other advocates for gun control are in a quandary. They don't want to focus attention on old racist laws that are an anathema to their modern commitments to diversity, equity, and justice. But doing so may be their last best chance at upholding background checks and other gun control measures. Oh, man, do you need anything
make this
else?
Into a poster, you know, and
oh
wow,
my God,
that came from the LA Times. Oh man.
Yes.
I mean, they're eating their own. I mean, they had, this is a random act of journalism here, folks.
It is.
Wow.
I could not deliver something more damning in all my videos in a year compared to that. and I put out like 800 to 1,000 a year. I could not do the damage that could do.
But nobody will hear about it because
so
nobody's going to
insane.
talk about it except us. It's just, where's Newsmax, right? Pick this up, guys. Fox.
Oh, man.
Right.
Somebody
pick this
please.
up.
It's so delicious and tasty. Well, you know what? I think you're onto something, though. I think putting it on a poster or something where we can have something tangible to get to people. I think
put it on business cards.
Into that.
Hand it out,
I think we'll look into that
at gun shows, gun stores, various industry events. Like, did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see this? And eventually, it'll get out there, and everybody will be talking about it.
Throw that out there. Eventually. Well, so I think after that really lengthy, amazing 2 segments, I think it's time for the coup de grace, the cherry on top, the delicious garnish to our meal. G3, Goofy Gun Grabbers, take the wheels, sir, because I'm excited.
So for today's episode, folks, we're going to go back over to our good friend Davey, not Davey Hogg, but the other Davey at K-12 School Shooting Database, because he's just, he's just a constant source of content for us here. As we were talking about at the beginning of the video. All right, so number 16, Doc. You know what, folks? Look, there's no such thing as a toy gun, in quotes. Any gun that fires a projectile is a dangerous weapon. Any gun that fires a projectile is a dangerous weapon. Keep that in mind. California high school senior may be permanently blind after being shot in the eye with a pellet gun during senior assassins game. Now, look, first of all, we didn't have airsoft when I was a kid, and paintball was just coming online, was expensive, and there were no stores and no place to do it. What did we do? We shot each other with pellet guns. The smartest thing in the world to do? No, but kids have been doing it forever. No. We had the 3-pump rule where you pump the gun up 3 times, but none of us abided by that. You'd have everybody pumping the guns up 10 times, whatnot. Yeah, I had to dig BBs out from underneath my skin. It was dumb. It happens. Kids are kids. Kids do stupid things. Okay? I'm not saying this is okay, but what Davey here is pushing for, folks, this isn't just a harmless news report. What he's trying to do here is convince you that even BB guns should be regulated and taken away. That's what he's doing here. Yeah. Okay. And so it drives me nuts. And so keep in mind, he says, there's no such thing as a toy gun. Any toy that fires a projectile, Doc, if you could throw up number 18 for us, any gun that shoots a projectile, like this orange little ball, is a dangerous weapon, and thus, in Davey's mind, should be regulated. As a matter of fact, we talked about zombie knives in the UK. Davey's going to go probably for the zombie Nerf gun number 20, Doc. Here's another example of a dangerous weapon that my own kids have and shoot at each other regularly. But this needs to be regulated, folks, because this is a dangerous weapon, because there is no such thing as a toy gun. This needs to be regulated. Absolutely. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, it's just common sense. It's for the children. Including the 18
It looks terrifying. Yeah. It looks terrifying. I mean, that's a lot of plastic. And you know what? That could probably be assembled at home. I mean, like 3D printed go burr. I mean, goodness gracious. The chaos that would ensue if Nerf guns were made at home. And by the way, I just want to clarify. I'm checking on you. That little ball on number 18, is that orange?
Did I say orange? I meant green. I'm not colorblind.
I'm sorry. I was okay. Good. Guys, it's okay.
So there's another image I didn't call Doc to post, which was a orange slide on a 1911, which is right below it, which I saw, and I saw that big color of orange. So go up, throw up number 19, Doc. So I have a solid excuse.
There we go.
Okay, so
he's vindicated. He's vindicated. Oh my goodness!
They are. Look at those dangerous toy cartridges.
Are those actual Nerf? Oh, gosh, they look like
a Christmas story, folks. You'll put your eye out. It goes back to the 50s and beyond. Anyway, all right.
I love that you guys had a 3-pump rule.
You guys did.
Were there any other rules that were unique? Well, no. See, I grew up in a time where that wasn't really a thing. We didn't really do that much. We had Nerf guns. We didn't actually have to level up to
we chased each other around the woods with pellet guns. It hurt, but you didn't want to get shot. So you want to talk adult milsim? We were doing it in the 80s, and we didn't have protective gear.
Well, the 80s was a different time. There was things going crazy in the 80s. We had all sorts of music that was off the racks. We had people with 3-pump rules.
Helmets and bicycles and pellet guns, and somehow we all survived, and the Gen Xers are here. It's weird.
It's
All
so
right.
weird.
So, but keeping in the toy theme, folks, this one goes back a little bit, but this one popped in my head when reading that particular gem from K-12 database. Number 17, Doc. This is from our friends over at the New York 104th Precinct. Now, this goes back a couple of years, but here we have two officers proudly posing with a weapon they confiscated from probably a drug dealer or something like that, was protecting his stash with a
Definitely
Orbeez gun. What is an Orbeez gun? Well, you take these little pellets, you soak them in water, the little water balls that it shoots. Okay. And if you take a closer look at this,
it's a weapon.
Braden, what do you see attached to this Orbeez gun?
I see two things. I said this is very important. When you're going Orbeezing, you need to be tacked out. You need to be tactical, and you need to have an EOTech on backwards, and then you also need to have a flashlight mounted to the side on the.
Here we have a $30
rail.
Orbeez rifle with a $400 red dot sight and a $200 flashlight. You cannot have these on the streets, you know. And what did the New York Police Department have to say in their post on X? You know, no, it's not a toy gun. Hey, look, a couple of years later, K-12 saying the same thing. It's not a toy gun. You're elite. 104 precinct public safety officers confiscated this illegal Orbeez air rifle capable of causing serious injury, akin to a BB gun, like that poor child that, you know, may have lost their eye. You know, you don't want to get...
Did you just say the word akin?
Akin. I'm American, man. I mispronounce everything. It's akin.
America. I'm from the 80s. Eat it.
They're not my kin, so that's akin. If they were my kin, they'd be akin. Anyway, so you're probably wondering, why are these officers so proudly posing with this weapon of war that they've taken off the streets so kids can't shoot each other with little water balls? Well, that's because New York City, folks, has a ban on these dangerous weapons. Number 21, Doc.
War.
Notice to the subjects of New York City. Bead blasters. Notice a violation. Bead blasters shoot gel water beads that are propelled by a spring-loaded air pump, which makes them an air rifle. It is a violation to possess an air rifle in New York City under New York City admin code, blah, 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 blah. Unlawful possession of an air rifle. Violators will have their pickles whacked. C summons and weapon will be vouchered as an arrest evidence. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, folks. And again, you think the UK's gone full stupid. We talked about their zombie knives and stuff. This is happening in America, folks. It literally says bead blasters shoot gel water beads. What are they going to ban next?
It's terrible. And they're biodegradable.
Oh, and they are biodegradable, so they're green, but they still have a problem with them. What's next? Water balloons? You're going to call them hand grenades? I mean, this is just ridiculous.
The amount of damage that they can do to wet plaster or dry plaster, you don't.
Well, keep in mind, leftists.
Have you seen the artillery?
Yeah, I've seen all sorts of cool stuff. I mean, in fact, I'm just starting to get into American Milsim.
No, I mean the water balloon artillery, the thing where two people hold it, the other person.
Those we called them water wingers. We had those back when I was a kid. Yeah, you could launch those water balloons a couple hundred yards. It was a lot of fun.
They had rubber back then.
We had to make it out of the trees. It took us a little while, but we knew how to do it. Well, anyway.
So you had to have someone covering you with their 3-pump rule while you were loading up the water winger. Is that what you said it was called?
It was a 3-person slingshot.
The water winger.
You'd have two people holding either side of it.
Yeah. So you had to have a squad of 5. Yeah, you had to have a squad of 5. You had to have one person holding each flank with the 3-pump rule. You better not go over that with the BBs. And then you had each person holding the actual side, and one person was the water winger. Oh man, I'm getting a good image of your.
Offline, I'll tell you the full story. I'm pretty sure the statute of limitations is over, but we'll do that offline. Anyway, so just keep in mind, folks, water gel blasters are guns and must be regulated. Nerf guns, they shoot a projectile. Do not buy those for your children. They are weapons of war, and we need to save the children.
It's awful.
If you have any questions, you can ask those questions down below because we enjoy reading those questions. But more importantly, we like reading your comments. Get as spicy as you want. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you guys soon.